Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 5 questions in about 10 or 15 minutes. And I am very grateful to introduce our guest today. I'm grateful for his participation on the podcast today. This is Landon Hasson, and he is with HTS Builders out of Orem, Utah. So, Landon, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with me today. What would you like the audience to know about HTS Builders?
Sure, yeah. HTS Builders, we've got a really experienced team in construction. One of my project managers has over 30 years in construction, custom home building, worked on many Parade homes. We actually specialize more in the remodeling space. Where we're really, really strong. So we like high-end custom jobs. We like home addition. And what we've also discovered is commercial TIs. So we like working with franchise companies and helping to build out their commercial spaces.
Awesome. That is great information. Thank you. Well, let's go ahead and start with our questions. Our first question, Landon, share a time when maybe there was a little bit of a disagreement or a conflict between you and another person or coworker, or if you're aware of between two other coworkers and you had to moderate it, and maybe a little bit about how you resolved it.
Well, when I was thinking about this, it's been a long time since I've had any coworkers, but I've had lots of employees and partners to work with over the years. And I've found that sometimes just understanding the differences in personalities can make a huge, huge difference. Once I know somebody's personality, it's a lot easier to, adjust my behavior as a leader or as a partner to know how to work better with them. So, for example, I've had a number of employees and partners, frankly, who like to have a lot of autonomy, independence, and authority, sort of like the red type, alpha type personalities, or type A. And I've found that with them, if as long as they make sure that they feel very empowered and they understand the structure and system in which we're working, um, when they feel like they have the authority and the power to execute on their assignments, they're very, very happy. And in fact, I found they actually love accountability, so they love to report back. They love to actually, they're eager to tell me how effective they've been. And so I love actually, my personality is such that early in life I didn't necessarily like those red type or type A type personalities. I didn't get along too well with them, and now I've found they're my favorite people to have in my company as managers and leaders because they execute very effectively. So that's really the big piece is understanding the differences in personality has made a big difference so that I can get along with different personality types and we can all thrive together.
That's a great observation because, yeah, getting to know the people and their personalities and how they respond and take feedback and so on, that makes a huge difference on how you can resolve conflicts that come up a little more easily and a little more quickly. So great comment. Really like that. All right, Landon, I'm sure you've heard the phrase that people don't leave jobs, they leave managers. What's one tip that you have for leaders to help them retain their talent?
So I got advice recently on this. I have a really top talent, a really highly skilled person in one of my companies, and I was asking some other associates, you know, I just want to make sure that I retain this person. I want to make sure things go well because they're going, they've gone fantastically well. I got good advice. They said, tell me about why this person started working for you and ask that question. And that led me down a rabbit hole of thinking deeply about that and really gaining insight into what I understood was valuable to that person when they started working for me and going back to the roots there and then making sure on an ongoing basis that I can, do things that remind them of that. I thought that was really helpful leadership advice for me. Um, I think it's really also important to understand your own company values and where you are in your company values. Sometimes it's just time for people to move on too. So, you know, we've actually started to hire and fire based on our core values. It's been something that's made a huge difference for our team. And I'd much rather have somebody who meets our values but doesn't have the skills. Work with them to develop the skills because they're just a right fit for who we are and what our culture is. So I think fundamentally getting that right in the first place helps down the road to retain people and keep people on your team that you really value.
Well, that is a great observation, that aligning those values even before the skills, that makes a huge difference, because you're absolutely right. Most people are going to be able to learn the skills, but the values are a lot harder to teach and they're a lot harder to align. And so if people come to the organization with those values pretty much aligned, a lot better success and keeping folks a lot longer. Great observation. All right, question number 3. What's one idea that you have to help leaders build a resilient team?
I like this question because you probably didn't know this, but resilience is one of our 4 core values.
Oh,
Our values
fantastic.
are that
Did
we're
not know that.
united, resilient, authentic, and passionate. So resilient is that second one on that list there. It's a really important thing for us. And for us, resilient in part, one of the things it means for us at least is when times get tough, we get tougher. And I think, because it's one of our values and it matters so much to us, I've thought a lot about, why, what helps with that, what does make a difference when it comes to resilience. And I've come up with vision. I feel like that when the big picture or the vision is clearly understood and conveyed to the team members, they want to be a part of it, and they'll get tough and they'll make it through challenges and hard times. So for me, vision and making sure that your team knows what the vision is. And if that doesn't work, it's probably because your vision doesn't fit for them, and they're probably not a good fit for your company, if I'm being honest. So
Yeah.
if you're telling them what you're all about, what your values are, and the vision and the direction you're going, and that doesn't help them, be a contributing member and get through the tough times, it's probably time to help them find a different opportunity.
Yeah, once again, it kind of goes back to those values and making sure that they're aligned. But I love what you said about making sure that that vision is connected to each person and that they feel that, because that just goes such a long way to helping keep them longer, because
Yeah.
they're bought into the mission. It's not just about the paycheck. So great comments. Great comments. All right. This is question number 4. Is there someone that you would like to recognize that's had a positive impact in your life?
Yeah, I'm thinking of someone. So when I was a teenager, when I was still going through finishing up high school, my parents were divorced and off doing different things, and neither one of them was really able to provide a helpful environment for me to get through school and move forward with my life. So I have one of my best friends. I actually had a couple different friends that I lived with during those high school years, toward the end there at least. Um, and one of my friends' fathers actually, sat me down and took me aside and shared some wisdom and some scriptures with me as well. I was getting ready to go through in my faith to go through go through the temple,
Okay.
and I was preparing for military and missionary service as well. Those are both important things that I wanted to do,
Wow.
that I ended up doing later. Anyways, the fact that he just noticed where I was at and took some time to sit down and give me some very poignant things to study and some things to consider really made a difference, in my life. I was just on last Friday. I was at a Veterans Day thing with Marcus Luttrell with Lone Survivor, and he reemphasized what we're all familiar with: the 3 different areas of growth and development for people: the mental, physical, and spiritual. He says those 3 different dimensions of the human experience are really, really important. He talked about, some people are really strong physically, and you can see those guys, and some people are really strong mentally, and some people are really strong spiritually. And I feel like that experience helped me to develop spiritually a lot, and ended up being one of my strong areas. I need to work on working out more, and I need to work on the body and the mind stuff a little bit more. But thanks to good mentors like that, it made a difference for me.
Thank you for sharing that, because this is one of my favorite questions, because it allows us to reflect a little bit on the people that have made an impact. And I've heard so many great stories from people over the years that I've been doing this podcast. And stories like that always they enthrall me, they warm my heart, all of those good things, because we just never know when we have an opportunity to make a difference in the life of someone else. And to take advantage of those opportunities like that gentleman did for you when you were at a kind of a big turning point in your life coming out of high school, and that's a pivotal point for everybody. especially in your circumstances that you were kind enough to share. That's a challenge. And so to have him there to help provide just a little bit of guidance obviously made a big difference. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. Well, our last question, Landon, tell us just a little bit about your first job.
Oh, I'm trying to. So what first comes to mind is it was lawn aerating season, and my sister and I were in high school, junior high and high school, and so it was a 2 week job where we got in the call center with like 3 other people and called through a phone book, just asking everyone if they wanted to get their lawns aerated. But actually before that, my dad did a lot of electrical work. He was an electrician, and we would also finish basements and build decks on the side as well. So just as a little boy and in my youth, I got to do a lot of that hands-on work. So anyways, that was that. That would be technically my first job, was working alongside my dad in various different job sites. But my
So
first
you were
non-familial job would have been that call center selling lawn aeration.
still,
cold
you were
calling through the
entrepreneurial.
phone book.
Yeah, you were entrepreneurial at a young age.
Well, my boss was, at least. I don't know.
Well,
Let's take young kids and just task them to give them all a
make
big
some
fat
calls.
phone book and just say, call everyone here.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Landon, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast, for sharing your insights, your wisdom, your experiences, the people that you've met, all of those great things. I really appreciate you taking time to join me today. How can people find you? How can they get in contact with you?
We've got a website, which is HTSbuilders.com. That's a great place for people to find us, including subcontractors and vendors. We have a portal on there that if you're a tradesman of any kind or a vendor of any kind, you'd like us to consider you for some of our trades work. There's a portal, it says right subcontractor or vendor in the top right, and you can just click there and submit your information. You'll be on our list to be considered on our projects as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for making that available. So HTSbuilders.com.
Correct.
Fantastic. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, go to teamengagementpodcast.com. And we also invite you to subscribe or follow the podcast anywhere that you watch or listen to podcasts. Thank you so much for joining us today, and have a great day.